Here's the harsh truth about fantasy baseball waiver pickups that nobody wants to admit. Most managers are picking up the wrong players at this crucial point in the season. Welcome to today's comprehensive breakdown of waiver wire goldmines for September 13th. This isn't what typical add these guys and hope for the best article. We're diving deep into the strategic moves that separate championship teams from also-rans. I'll analyze the most promising available talent across all major platforms, dissect why certain players are flying under the radar, and reveal which supposedly hot pickups you should actually avoid like the plague. But here's where it gets controversial. Sometimes the best waiver wire moves aren't the obvious ones everyone's chasing. Essential priority additions that could change your season. Parker Messick, Cleveland Guardians. Starting pitcher. 27% owned on Yahoo, 13% on ESPN. Let me be blunt. When September arrives, matchup exploitation becomes absolutely everything. And Parker Messick represents the perfect example of a pitcher you can ride to victory based purely on favorable scheduling. Messick faces the Chicago White Sox today, a team that, despite showing occasional flashes of competitiveness in the second half, still possesses severe offensive limitations and an incredibly low performance floor. His next opponent? Minnesota, a club that has been absolutely dreadful since the trade deadline gutted their roster of key contributors. The final matchup brings Texas, which presents his most challenging test but remains entirely manageable. This guy operates like a precision instrument, particularly excelling at avoiding non-competitive fastball offerings. Both his sinker and four-seam fastball boast 90th percentile strike rates, while his secondary pitches consistently find the zone as well. This deadly combination has resulted in a microscopic walk rate hovering around 3%. Sure, Messick might not possess the most devastating repertoire in baseball, but those upcoming matchups create a recipe for pristine ratios and solid win potential. And this is the part most people miss. Late-season fantasy success often depends more on smart scheduling than raw talent. Harrison Bader, Philadelphia Phillies. Outfielder, 19% owned on Yahoo, 7% on ESPN. Harrison Bader has bounced between organizations like a pinball in recent years, but something magical has happened since joining Philadelphia. He finally looks comfortable and confident. I've highlighted Bader in multiple previous waiver wire discussions because he possesses legitimate tools across multiple categories. This season, he's dramatically improved his on-base percentage through increased patience and better contact skills. As an extreme pull hitter, he's absolutely demolished 14 home runs toward left field. His elite sprint speed continues making him a consistent stolen base threat. But here's the game-changing development. Bader has secured Philadelphia's leadoff position. Batting ahead of superstars like Bryce Harper and the red-hot Nick Castellanos creates incredible run-scoring opportunities, especially when you possess the wheels to manufacture offense from any situation. Analyzing yesterday's most popular additions across major platforms. As usual, yesterday's waiver wire activity featured a pitcher-heavy approach, with most additions targeting same-day starters. Mitch Keller delivered exactly what fantasy managers hoped for against Washington's anemic lineup, which typically struggles against right-handed pitching. His final numbers looked solid, maintaining a sub-1.00 whip while surrendering just 2 earned runs across 5.1 innings, plus 4 strikeouts for good measure. Unfortunately, Pittsburgh's bullpen completely imploded, costing Keller a well-deserved victory in what became a Nationals comeback win. J.P. Sears returned to action for San Diego, filling the rotation void left by injured Nestor Cortes. This wasn't his finest moment, as he allowed 4 earned runs while failing to complete 5 innings. The 8 strikeouts provided some consolation, but overall, this represented a disappointing streaming attempt. J.T. Ginn experienced a similarly frustrating outing, though he avoided earned run damage. The problem? He couldn't reach the 5-inning threshold needed for win eligibility. 6 strikeouts in limited volume helped the strikeout category, but you can't call this a successful stream when he fell short of basic length requirements. Brandon Pfaadt was an absolute disaster, another pitcher who couldn't survive 5 innings. He surrendered 5 earned runs while posting terrible ratios and minimal strikeouts. No win possibility existed after that performance. This kind of outing should make managers extremely cautious about trusting Xat during the season's final weeks. Quinn represents a Milwaukee pitching development success story. After arriving via early season trade from Boston, he initially filled injury replacement duties, but has now earned a permanent rotation spot. Embodies consistency, accumulating wins and quality starts without spectacular peripherals. His strikeout-to-walk ratio won't blow anyone away, but it's perfectly serviceable. The major advantage comes from playing for a winning organization. Yesterday's performance against St. Louis showcased his reliability. 2 earned runs allowed, with 5 strikeouts in a victory. ESPN's Edition Trends revealed a fascinating mix of established veterans, emerging young talent, and players experiencing late career resurgences. Daylen Lile has transformed into one of baseball's hottest performers after a thoroughly disappointing first half. The 22-year-old rookie is finally demonstrating why Washington views him as a cornerstone piece. Despite his limited ceiling and floor, he's become a batting average asset, and his cleanup position creates RBI opportunities when teammates reach base, admittedly rare for Washington. I personally added Lile, and he's been fantastic during fantasy playoffs. But here's my warning. If he cools off, don't hesitate to move on immediately. Here's something that might shock you. According to Fangraph's WAR calculations, Trevor Story is having his best season since 2020. Given his struggles as a Red Sox member, this might surprise many managers. Story looked completely lost at various points this year, but has since found his groove and become a legitimate shortstop option. 85% Yahoo ownership. He's hitting in Boston's middle order while stealing a career-high 28 bases. His transformation from do-not-draft player to solid contributor has been remarkable, especially with his newfound base-stealing prowess. Colson Montgomery has finally started living up to his prospect hype after previous AAA struggles. Get this, he's currently on pace for 52 home runs over a full season. Obviously, nobody expects this production to continue, as reaching 50 homers represents an extraordinary achievement. However, watching him maximize his incredible bat speed has been genuinely exciting. Where do you think he'll be drafted next season? I'm betting much higher than most expect. Jorge Polanco looked like a major bounce-back candidate early this year, hitting like an MVP for several weeks. He predictably regressed, partly due to T-Mobile Park's offensive challenges. Recently, though, he's heating up again and looks much more like his productive Minnesota version, compared to last season's disaster, when his strikeout rate nearly doubled. Targeted additions for specific statistical categories. Jake Burger, Texas Rangers. First base, third base, 34% owned on Yahoo, 24% on ESPN. Jake Burger appears to have finally achieved average hitter status. I know that sounds harsh, but remember, he was optioned earlier this year, making us wonder if his incredible power would ever translate to sustained success. It has. Burger now hits cleanup nightly for Texas, while approaching the 20 home run milestone. He's been scorching hot recently. Don't expect help with your ratios. But he will absolutely crush baseballs and drive in runs when teammates reach base. Jake Mangum, Tampa Bay Rays. Outfield, 5% owned on Yahoo, 3% on ESPN. Mangum presents a fascinating fantasy contradiction. His complete lack of power and bottom-of-the-order placement severely limits his appeal and explains the minimal ownership. However, if you can overlook those deficiencies, he provides solid batting average and stolen base production. He rarely strikes out and consistently turns routine plays into base hits. He'd probably receive more attention in these categories if teammate Chandler Simpson wasn't the ultimate example of this player archetype. Today's streaming pitcher recommendations. Before we continue, make sure you've checked Nick Pollack's daily starting pitcher streamer rankings. He evaluates every expected starter with start, sit, claim recommendations. Find the complete series at the pitcher streaming section. For my specific recommendation today, one name stands out clearly. Yu Darvish, San Diego Padres, starting pitcher, 42% owned on Yahoo, 16% on ESPN. Few things in fantasy baseball are more reliable than facing Colorado away from Coors Field. Darvish gets exactly that opportunity Sunday, creating a potentially excellent streaming situation. While Darvish hasn't looked dominant this season, struggling with game length and subpar ratios, his extensive arsenal still befuddles opposing hitters, despite reduced swing and miss ability. The Rockies outside Colorado consistently struggle against quality pitching, and Darvish should continue that trend. But here's what I want to know from you. Are you brave enough to chase these contrarian picks, or do you stick with the safe, obvious choices everyone else is making? And this is the part that might spark some heated debate. Do you think fantasy success comes from following the crowd, or having the courage to make bold, independent decisions? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Are you riding with these recommendations, or do you think I'm completely wrong about any of these players? Let's hear your most controversial waiver wire takes.